Hey everyone, Danny Dragon 28 here. This is gonna be something else, something that I like to do, but something that I've never done before, but this thing I'm doing for fun. But basically, there's this little thing going on in Pandajack's Discord server. Basically, there's this thing that's going on in Pandajack's Discord server, and it's like this New Year's giveaway. So it's rules and entries, and the giveaway for this Transformers toy that I don't really like, but it's giving theories as to what might happen in the next episode of Annihilation 2. And I put in one major theory, two theories in this thing. So if you don't watch Panda Jack, or if you don't watch Transformers stop motion, Panda Jack is this YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers who makes Transformers stop motion videos, and he's made this series that I like to watch called Transformers Annihilation. Now, what is Transformers Annihilation? Transformers Annihilation is this series that took place in Cybertron, where basically the Autobots were on a pretty bad low. They were losing the war, and they had a plan to escape Cybertron by taking these like spaceships, and to go somewhere, to go to Earth, or just to escape in general. So we're here at Panda Jack's channel right now, right? And if you look at all of his stuff, you got some short films here. You got a Tarn miniseries. There you have it. Chapter 1 of the new Annihilation 2, New Home, which came out 5 months ago. So really, it's not that old. But 7 days ago, this new episode called The Innovator came out, which is basically a backstory as to how the war happened back on Cybertron, which is basically a prequel to Annihilation 1. But if we were to go back all the way to Chapter 4 and then skip all the way to the end, there is a scene where Jaxus comes out, right? And he's speaking to Optimus. He's like, "Optimus, I am here. This and this and this." And so Panda Jack, what he wanted us to do was create theories as to what is going to happen in the series, or if it's going to happen in the next episode. So this is my guess of what's going to happen in Transformers Annihilation 2 Chapter 5. What my theory is that Optimus and Jaxus, they're gonna have a little bit of a chat, right? And then Jaxus is gonna say something like, "Oh yeah, Transformers, this and this and this, abandon your old bodies, appreciate the Generation 2. And what he's gonna do is he's gonna Generation 2ify one of the Autobots. Now, I was checking the New Year's giveaway channel, and people were saying, I think it's Cliff Jumper, or I think it's going to be Hot Rod, or one of those two. But me, personally, I feel like he's going to get somebody who's close to Optimus, so somebody like Ironhide, Ratchet, or maybe someone like Hound. Hound's a little bit of a favorite of mine, but I doubt Hound would be getting it. So my guess is it's either going to be Ratchet, Ironhide, or Cliff Jumper. It's either one of those three. Those are my main three. Now, I'm going to give out each reasoning as to why I think it's going to be them in a bit. But first, let me explain, the episode. So my guess would be like most others, or a little different. So basically, after Jaxus comes down from his portal thingy, he and Optimus will have a little bit of a shorter, longer conversation chat than the previous episode. It's probably going to be like a little bit of a continuation. And that Jaxus will tell them about how second gens are better and awesome and the way to go, but still not realizing that every Cybertronian he upgrades, that said Transformer, although they do become like a bigger, better, stronger, regenerative Transformer that can, if they chop off their arm, it'll come back. But the thing is that they aren't really still them. So it's technically a split spark. I wouldn't necessarily say a split spark like straight up, because that's a different thing on its own. But what I'm thinking is that Transformer is a new one, but it's borrowing the spark of an older Transformer. Now, there's an episode, I think in episode 2 or 3, where Cyclonus and I think Scourge come and they kill Cyclonus, and the Autobots find out that Cyclonus is using the spark of, I think it was either Soundwave or Starscream, because those two got turned in the very first episode. But basically, Cyclonus was nothing like Starscream. He was basically a completely different person compared to Starscream or Soundwave, and it was basically a whole new bot, but it was borrowing the spark of a different Transformer. Oh, Beast Machines. There we go. That's what I was thinking of. It's not like a split spark. It was basically Beast Machines. They're kind of brainwashed, and they're like, their whole new personality like Thrust and the little motorcycle guy along with Tankor. But those three were borrowing the sparks of Waspinator, Rhinox, and then the other dude who I really like, Silverbolt. But basically, Megatron was borrowing their sparks so that he could turn, those guys into technically new bots because they were kind of brainwashed. But we get them later on, but it's fine. Okay, so back to what I was saying. They aren't really still them because it's more or less a new Transformer that has been made borrowing the spark of the Cybertronian before it. But here's what I think who would get turned and why. First up, I put Hot Rod. He is Bumblebee's good friend, so having to fight him would be devastating for Bee. To cope with the loss of one, if not his only best true friend since before the war, it would take a huge toll on him and probably lead to something like, and I don't want to like make any big things like saying here, right? But maybe something like TFI Creations Rollout, where it kind of gives that dark and depressing tone to Hotshot and his like friendship with First Aid, because those two are really good friends. And I don't mean like something similar to that, but I mean like it will be something like I don't think it's gonna be exactly like that, but I mean like something similar to that. Like you're just gonna have that tone and feeling of losing your best friend, or almost losing your best friend if that happens. All right, next up on the list is Cliffjumper. Now, as far as I remember for Cliffjumper, he hasn't done much since the last episode of Annihilation, when he killed Blitzwing. So I guess I could save time for him. So basically what I mean here is that if you've ever seen like the second to last episode of Transformers Annihilation, then there was a scene where Hoist and Grapple unfortunately died. And Hoist is my favorite character, so I was pretty upset when that happened. But there was a part where Blitzwing comes in, Studio Series Blitzwing comes in, and he kills the both of them. And then freaking Cliffjumper's like, oh no, I'm the last refugee there is, because they're all part of a refugee group. That it was Cliffjumper, Hoist, Grapple, and then Wheeljack, but all three of those guys are dead. But he was like, oh crap, I'm the last guy, I gotta avenge them. So he ends up killing Blitzwing, and that's really the only thing that he ever does that I remember in the series. But yeah, I guess it could save like stop motion animating time and stuff like that, so it wouldn't really like be much of a hassle on Pandajackproductions. Anyways, Ironhide. Now these two, I feel like would make sense. Ironhide and Ratchet, maybe Drift, but definitely Ironhide and Ratchet. Now, here's why. This one seems a little off, but I feel like Ironhide would be a worthy pick considering that he is close friends with Optimus. Like I said with Bee and Hot Rod, it would take a toll on Optimus since they are really good friends. Now, basically, kind of the same thing with Ironhide and Optimus, but I think if you dove a little bit deeper, since those two are friends and Optimus is basically the main character of this series, it'll probably like go deeper into like why or like how this affects Optimus because of those, how close knit those two are and stuff like that. I'd explain it better, but I'm not the type of person to actually be able to do that kind of stuff because I'm rambling off the top of my head here. So the editing when I do this thing is gonna be like, all right. So Ratchet. Now, this one I feel like might be most likely. He's the only one there with any technological and medical knowledge, so it would make sense for Jaxus to turn him into a second gen. Also, Ratchet did say something about being able to reverse the process of turning into a second gen, or at least reverse engineering it, so that could ruin Jaxus' plan of turning everyone into second gens. Now, I feel like Ratchet would actually like make a lot of sense because, as I did just say, he did mention something about being able to reverse or like save the sparks of everyone that's been turned into like second gens and stuff, which honestly I really do like the way that sounds, because there was this episode, I think it was the third episode, but basically it was Roadbuster and Brawn. It was those two. Now Roadbuster gets turned into a second gen, which I thought was pretty sad because he's my favorite character in the movieverse. And then Brawn was also kind of upsetting because, I was kind of hoping at least he or Brawn would make it out of their life. But no, everyone gets turned into a second gen. And then there was Battle Trap and Sideways that also got turned into second gens. I did like the idea of Autobots and Decepticons working together to fight second gen Decepticons. But honestly, I feel like if they're going to bring someone back, it should be like somebody, maybe Roadbuster or Brawn. And then hopefully they could possibly bring in Battle Trap or Sideways, because I would love to see some Decepticons and Autobots get turned back into like the regular selves and then be able to fight with the other guys to fight the second gen Decepticons, because that would be really nice. Anyways, Drift dies in honorable fight. That's it, really. Basically, what I mean is like Drift, since he's always honorable and stuff in the movies, I'm pretty sure he's also going to be honorable in this one. So if he does die, then I don't think he's going to be like turned into a second gen, but more or less necessarily just dying a genuine good fight. Because he's an honorable fighter. I mean, that's really it. Optimus. Yes, the man himself, Mr. Prime. I feel like he himself wouldn't necessarily become a full-on second gen, but get hurt enough to slowly turn into one. Considering that Jaxus doesn't do anything to Ratchet by then, he could reverse engineer the process to help out the rest of the Autobots and turn some of them into second gens, turning the tides against Jaxus and stuff. Now, what I mean by Ratchet turning the other Autobots into second gens, I mean like giving them upgrades or like upgrading their bodies to the point where like I guess they're essentially new Transformers, but they still have the same memories and they still have the same personalities and everything. So basically, just transferring a new spark into a new body. That's it. And then for Optimus, what I mean by that is like Jaxus fights him, right? And then let's say he's gonna shoot his little shoulder cannon to him. He's gonna hit Optimus, but he doesn't fully transform him because from what I remember and from what I know, he has to keep the beam on them for a little bit in order for them to actually proceed to turn into a second gen. So I feel he's gonna have on Optimus for a little bit, and Optimus is gonna resist. And then while Jaxus is doing it, someone's gonna come in from behind and whack him. So that's gonna like kind of cancel out the process, but still make Optimus into a second gen, or at least start slowly turning Optimus into a second gen. And then also for the rest of the episode plot, it would be, I feel like they will have a flashback to times where Optimus and Jaxus were still friends and how Optimus ended up forgetting about him. So either before or when they fight, Jaxus will fire his second gen transformation gun and hit someone. And then, like I said, I personally think it's Ratchet or Ironhide, and then turn them into a second gen. They begin the fight, and it's not looking too good for the Autobots. Jaxus is beating up Optimus, and most of their men are downed, like knocked out, not dead or turned, because of Menasor. And although some second gen cons are dead or like knocked out or out of the battle, I feel like something might be amiss, and I'm sure that this is kind of outright, but I'm sure that either one of four things might happen. Most to least likely. 1. Optimus has flashbacks and stuff and becomes enraged or something like that. Beats up every second gen and then fights Jaxus in a 1v1 battle, winning said battle. 2. They scatter due to the overwhelming amount of cons and fighting that they have to do. So, it's kind of self-explanatory for these two. Optimus remembers everything. He remembers like the good times that they had. But he's like, damn it, now I gotta fight this guy. And then he looks around, sees other Autobots. He's like, oh no, Optimus, help us, please, please. And Optimus becomes enraged, so he starts beating everyone up and then has one-on-one with Jaxus. He wins the battle. I don't think Jaxus is gonna like get necessarily killed, but I feel like he'll get damaged enough to be like, Decepticons, we gotta get out of here and stuff. The second one, also self-explanatory. Basically, there's too many cons because of Menasor and how big he is. So the Autobots are going to have to scatter. My guess is that going to have to be in groups of 1 to 3s. I feel like there's going to be mostly groups of probably 2. But I feel like or maybe he'll do something like he'll split the team in half or team into thirds or like just whatever. But I feel like he's going to be either split the team in half or split the team into 1s, 2s, and 3s. And then for the third theory that I had, or third thing that I had for the plot, was some Autobots could turn into second gens and lose the battle, having some casualties. My guess would be Ratchet, Ironhide, Hot Rod, and or Drift. This one means is that, they just end up losing the battle. They lose men. Like I said, I feel like it's going to be Ratchet or Ironhide because those two mean a lot to Prime. So, yeah. And then I didn't put Cliffjumper there because, Cliffjumper doesn't really do much. He's essentially a background character, so. And then number 4 would be some other Autobots come out of nowhere, explained later, at the last second and help / save out the rest of the guys growing the Autobot army. Now, what I mean by this is that since Annihilation ended, more Transformers have come out, right? There are like tons of legacy toys. My guess, or what I'm thinking is that there's still some Autobots left back on Cybertron. Because we've already seen Autobots left back on Cybertron. It was a group of 3. It was the Wreckers. It was Topspin, Roadbuster, and Brawn. Now, for all I know is that Pandajack could make up some bogus reason as to why they were stuck on Cybertron. Kind of like what he did with those 3, even though it kind of wasn't a bogus reason. But I do think it's kind of dumb considering that in the first series, it was a plot of getting every single Autobot on the ships to escape Cybertron. So I guess that didn't really work out for Pandajack. But either ways, it's fine what he did. I do like the inclusion of those 3. But then almost all of the cast consists of live action characters except Cliffjumper. Yeah, that's the one problem, is that most if not all the cast for the Autobots are the live action toys except for Cliffjumper. So Cliffjumper is probably the only War for Cybertron Autobot toy that he has in the group. I mean, technically there's Springer, but Springer disappeared in the first episode. We never got to see Springer again. I don't know what happened. He managed to make it onto the ship. First episode, completely gone, wiped off the face of the earth. People theorize that he probably died off screen due to the blast and the crash landing, but I do not think that's what happened. I genuinely doubt that, because when they crash landed, most if not all of the Autobots came out fine, alright? And then I'm pretty sure they would have at least mentioned Springer at some point. So Springer, I gotta say, he's probably either helping them off screen, right? He's still on the ship, or he's off doing something else. So my guess is that Springer might be part of the fourth theory. Random Autobots come in and help. So hopefully Springer comes back. I would like to see Springer. And then also for the fourth theory, I forgot to mention this, is that some of them would have to be the new Studio Series toys for Rise of the Beast. So the only character for Rise of the Beast that would be able to be in the series is no one. Quite literally nobody. Now, when I originally put that in there, I was thinking like, oh yeah, probably someone like Mirage. But then I look back at the original Annihilation series, and literally every single character except for Prime and Bumblebee are dead or already in the cast. Because we already have Optimus, we already have Bumblebee. Oh, but what happened to Mirage? Mirage dies back on Cybertron because Impactor freaking shoots him in the chest. So yeah, there goes freaking Mirage. RC gets stomped by Megatron, I think, or she got stomped by someone, cannon blast or whatever. She got blasted in the face. And then who else? And then Wheeljack. Wheeljack also dies because he got blown up. Not necessarily blown up, but he died due to like the blow up blast somewhere near him. The only character, or at least Autobot character, that I know that could probably be in the show is the big Scottish dude, the big airplane guy, but I don't think that's going to happen. Unless Pandajack somehow has like some really old toys, like 2007 toys, or like Revenge of the Fallen toys all the way back from like 2007, 2009, 2013 toys or something like that, then I guess that would be fine, because they do have some Earthy mode toys in there. I actually have one. I have Generations, I think, Revenge of the Fallen Sandstorm. Not the Thrilling 30s one, like the movieverse one. I'll be back. Let me go get it. Okay, I'm back. I brought the toy. It's right here. This is the Sandstorm that I'm talking about. It's a repaint / recolor of this other Transformers toy. I was looking for this guy everywhere, but yeah. I got this guy at a toy store. At a Frankensons collectibles for like $25, and a lot of like 12 for like $210. But I don't want to talk about that right now. It'll be like at a later time. But you know, I feel like my theory could be debunked for the Studio Series toys, because if you think about it, they had a Blitzwing in the original series, and now there's Legacy Blitzwing in the new series. How does that work? Did he upgrade Blitzwing? Did you actually find Blitzwing's body and then freaking turn it into like the new Blitzwing? That's kind of an inconsistency for me. So maybe, and this is a huge maybe for me, but maybe some of the bots that died in Cybertron could possibly come back as an upgraded version. So Mirage, Narc and Wheeljack could possibly somehow come back as their movie forms, but I doubt that's ever gonna happen. But a couple characters that I think might be able to show up in the show, I feel like, is gonna be Leadfoot, because he never showed up in the original series. So there's gonna be Studio Series Leadfoot, if he has him, Studio Series Jolt, and that's it. It's just those two. That's our only hope, really. Those are the only guys I can come up with off the top of my head. But that's it, you know? So that's my guess. Those are the 4 endings that I can possibly come up with for the episode. And then I feel like later on, I'll probably make a follow-up video on this one, talking about like, oh yeah, I think that this is gonna happen in the next episode, and this is gonna happen in the next episode after that. But that is it. Anyways, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, that's it. Goodbye.